Hello and welcome to Witness. I'm Raghi Omar. Globalization can be seen in a variety of ways depending on where you live. It is call centers in India, electronics factories in China, and sweatshops in Mexico. For the small family farmer in the United States, increasingly it means being plowed under by a massive agricultural corporation. But globalization is only the latest obstacle facing black farmers in America. When African Americans gained their freedom from slavery following the American Civil War, they were each promised 40 acres and a mule to help them start their own farms. It's a promise that remains unfulfilled. And since that moment, they have been beset by discrimination and repression. Director David Snyder's film, 40 Acres and a Dream, follows photographer John Ficara, who has been traveling throughout the southern states of the country, documenting the decline of black farmers in the US.
African Americans have a rich history when it comes to soil and land. They were brought to this country as slaves. The agricultural economy of this country was built on the backs of African Americans. I briefly worked on a dairy farm in upstate New York in my college years. I learned that it's more than a job, it's a way of life for many people. And that's a way of life that is a traditional way of life. Nobody goes out and starts a dairy farm, or any kind of a farm for that matter. The way you are a farmer in today's world is that you have been passed down that land and that farm from your parents, from your grandparents. So as a documentary photographer, I took it upon myself to travel around the country and document as much as I could, and that's how I created the American Black Farmers Project. The project encompassed 4 years of shooting, mostly in the South, and I visited about 60 farms around the country. Spending 4 or 5 days with each farmer allowed me to really connect with that farmer. It allowed me to understand who he was, what his life was like, and also study his body language, his gesturing, his facial expressions, things that were visually telling to me about who that person was. And I think when we look at the photographs, the most compelling part of this project, and I think what makes this project very unique, is the connectivity to the farmers and how that translated visually into photographs. Roger Lamar has a small dairy operation, and the dairy operation has been doing well. He keeps it at a certain level that he feels is manageable for himself. When I first visited Roger, his 2 young children were in elementary school, and he and his wife and their children were living in a trailer on the property on the farm. It was a very tight squeeze for 4 people living in that trailer. And upon visiting him recently, I was glad to see that he finally moved out of the trailer with his family and currently are living in this wonderful house, this beautiful house that's on the farm.
My father, Charlie Lamar Sr., and mother, Peter May, they bought this farm, built the barn, the house in 1946. And as years rolled on, in '76, my brother and myself, we added approximately 150 acres. But over the period of years, it was hard work and dedication. I applied for a farm ownership loan. And over the period of time, they constantly had me reapplying. I applied approximately 3 times, and it took approximately a year before I got the loan. I needed the money for the purchase cows and operating expenses here. When the prices get low, that finance is not there, and you need to keep on going to make the farm more sustainable. You also need a niche market, and mine is custom baling hay. That's what makes the difference with me. Farmer, he have to have some other income coming in to take up the difference. in the farm.
When I bale 200 bales a day, I'd have made something like $4,000.
Yeah.
People don't, in this area, they don't want to hear that. Well, most especially for a black man.
Yeah. Jonathan continues to work on the farm and help his dad during peak seasons, and also helps with the chores on a daily basis. And Jonathan hopes to continue working the farm and keeping the farm operational.
My day starts at about 4:30 every morning. I come to the barn, get the cows up, so watch them get them ready for milking. I milk the cows, give them water, feed them, and then at about 8 o'clock, I have to run home and get ready for school. After I come home from school, I get back at around 2:30, 3 o'clock. I come to the barn and do the same thing over again. I really plan to go as long as I can with farming. I've done it all my life. I can't imagine my life without it, so I have to say I keep doing it.
The children, they want to stay small, but be productive. My daughter, she plans on going to veterinary school. My son, he's already in college, and I hope they keep the land and keep the farm going as long as possible. I always tell them, you can sell the cows, but don't sell the land.
The class action suit brought by black farmers against the USDA in 1996 resulted in some farmers being paid, the majority of them still waiting for those funds to be delivered to them. Roger Lamar actually received settlement from the USDA, and those funds were put into the farm. It also helped him build his house.
After emancipation, the government said that they would give 40 acres and a mule, which would be substantial land mass, and a mule to work it, and that way a family could take care of themselves. That was under President Lincoln. The slaves never did receive the 40 acres and a mule that has been a promise to us that the government has failed to keep. However, African Americans were able to amass some acreage. So by 1900, 1920, there was approximately 16 million acres of black-owned land and close to 1 million black farmers in the United States.
See, all these Holstein heifers, they come from up to the barn.
Melvin Bishop is a cattle farmer in Eatonton, Georgia. Melvin introduces black family farmers to the idea of organic farming.
We decided to do certified organic to create a niche market. Because see, in organic, you can do livestock, you can do produce, you do chicken, eggs, and for a small family farm to maintain and be able to sustain, that's the area that we're trying to teach the minority farm to go in, so it can help sustain their livelihood and make their farm be a much more proper operation.
If you don't preserve your history, you don't even know where you've been. How you gonna know where you want to go if you can't tell where you've been?
One of the most compelling statistics to me was the study that was done in Michigan in the mid-90s, and it was about the amount of young black farmers going into farming or staying in farming. And the study had found that there were less than 250 black farmers under the age of 25. And when you looked at that statistic and you compared that statistic with the decline of black family farms, it was clear that this is a way of life that is just going to vanish, and it's going to vanish very quickly. For me, part of the story is about racism, and it's about the continuing struggle for civil rights in this country.
The forces in this country conspiring against black farmers is primarily racism, which has always been a force. Racism and then discrimination in lending institutions. When we went to borrow money from the Farmers Home Administration, what we found was that they never did give the amount of money that was needed in order for a farmer to operate his farm. Not only did we not get the amount that was needed, we got the money after the planting season. We have farmers that we know receive their operating loans all the way up as late as September, and in September you're usually harvesting your crops. So the fact that you were not able to plant on time meant that you were already going to get a low yield on whatever it was that you planted.
When we come back, we see how the struggle to keep the farm going is also a struggle to hang on to a way of life. Join me after the break.